The unexpected departure of Alfred yesterday was really shock to the players and the club. According to both Alfred and our director Alexander Rosen, this was the mutual consent. The decision came up on irreconcilable disagreements after a very long meeting on Monday night discussing about the future plans of Hoffenheim. Both claimed that they still had a friendly working relationship until now, but the club simply have to pull the plug as a way to inform the players that we need to have a new formation next season. Considering that the club sits currently 7th in the league table and still having the chance to get a spot in the European competition next season, it is a fair and right decision to sack Alfred, or is Schroeder out a rash and unreasonable decision instead? There are a number of excuses you could find for Alfred this season. Being the first season as the head coach without much previous experience to manage a team on his own, selling a lot of talent players like Nico Schulz, Demi Bai, and Joe Linton and Amiri, whom Alfred would refuse to sell. Belfodil and Kamara got injured, losing Bittencourt and Fold in the second half of the season. And what did we get in return? Bebo, Locadia, Scoff, Dabur, Brun Larsen. Seems it is difficult to compare with the squad in terms of the player profile. So we may have to be sympathetic with Alfred about the team he rebuilt. As a result, he may have to think about the new formation to suit both the new and old players. Look at the league table. The team constantly sat in the upper half for the whole season, and we still have a fair chance to take the 6th spot at the end. To be fair, it is more than a pass to Alfred for his first year report. If you look at the team final position, some may say that we are unlucky in some of the matches. The team create a lot of goal-scoring opportunities when playing against Paderborn away, Hertha Berlin at home. It would have been a 3-1 or even 2-1 victory based on the chances we create. The goal conversion index simply were very poor. The expected goals could not be realized. The probability of a possible goal in some of the matches is relatively low. The low exploitation of chances is not something Alfred could design, and it's not something due to his style of play. It should be the player physical condition that matter, but not the coach tactical inability. Well, hold on, but is the result really the top priority to us? Although there is no doubt that the club and our fans would like to see Hoffenheim to participate in the European competition once again next season, our management board also needs to consider several issues about the actual team performance starting from last September. Losing 8 times on the home turf, in which 1-5 against Mainz, 2-4 against Augsburg, 0-3 against Mönchengladbach, 0-6 against Bayern Munich, etc. and etc. The team performed quite poorly without creating chances to the opponents. I know we could not win all the matches at home. However, the team were disorganized and could not dominate the matches as expected. This was very, very discouraging and heartbreaking to fans when they witnessed the weak performance in the stadium before the virus outbreak. See the chart about the home stadium attendance over the past years. It has been an upward trajectory until this season. The drastic change could be a piece of concrete evidence of the fans' criticism towards the performance of the Alves team. Well, there could be other reasons you could take into the consideration. The kindergarten banter incidents because of the Sweet Caroline, discontent and annoyed bystander throughout the matches, the mysteries with the bus arrangement and to the noble fans, However, we simply could not rule out that some fans already lost the patience as they jeer off the team performance after the losses at home. The club management even persuaded the fans to stay calm and strong during the annual journal meeting this year. When you talk about the entertaining football versus result-oriented football, it is not easy to define what Alfred was looking for. Based on his tenure in IS, one would predict he opted to play attacking football. But what he directed on the pitch was another story. His raid between the attacking mindset and the defensive mindset. And he sometimes seems to be very successful in practicing the oppressive football style. So, what it means to us? It is obvious that he could not fix the bad system to Hoffenheim. And it is quite obvious that he could not fully implement what he ordered the players to do during the training session. It is not a kind of flexible tactics, but there is nothing at all. It is also worth mentioning that he sometimes wrongly assigned position to certain players on pitch, letting Billingual to play as a striker instead of right wingers, commanding Goff to play as a left back at the first half of the season, putting wrong person in the fullback and centre back. For example, sometimes he even employed Rudy as a fullback. It was also important to note that Alfred was not a very good personnel manager. Yes, he put the discipline and obedience in the top priority when he wants. This was how he was in obvious disagreement with Fold and Billingual. Fold should have acted against Alfred and were in great conflict with Alfred before his departure to further Bremen. And Alfred added disciplinary action. But on the other hand, it was no doubt that he had no character at all. As a trainer, he was too soft and unemotional when the team went wrong. Sometimes the players need to have a morale-boosting session and be corrected when required. But I don't think Alfred was the guy to do that. Combine the two traits for our consideration, he may not be the best candidate for the long-term job in Hoffenheim. Another big problem that mattered was the coach's inability to reflect and conclude the match failure. He always said the boys were working fine during the press conference, and he also said that he saw the progress being made every match. Sometimes even players thought they were playing better and better. I'm not sure whether they had any internal meeting afterwards, but problems seemed to become worse and worse as the season went on. How could the club improve if one only focused on the result without having a clear picture of the structural problems, including lackluster display, highly predictable passing pattern, and all the defensive loopholes? And what should the coach do to improve the player abilities and performance on pitch? How could he utilize the players on hand? They all have been the unsolved issues during the short tenure of Alfred. Considering the problems aforementioned, I really think that it was not a rash decision made by the club. Although the club didn't speak in favor or against Alfred in the public, the continuous assessment should have taken place throughout the season. The board seems to finally uphold the philosophy over the winning streak and so called the tickets to the European matches. The decision may be a bit weird, since Alfred and the management board should have communicated well about the path of the coach himself, the team, and the clubs as a whole before his appointment last year. They should agree in principle and the philosophy of the club. Has there been any changes of the mindset to Alfred then? Is there any hidden agenda for the departure of Alfred? Well, anyway, I am very glad that the club would like to address the problems all our fans concerned. Playing ugly football and winning lucky matches is not the way Hoffenheim should be. I would like to see the team playing excellent football and eventually losing 4-5 to the big teams rather than winning 1-0 to a lowly opponents. Now the question is how to ensure and implement the club philosophy into what the club did under the reign of Julian Nagelsmann. Playing great and entertaining football has been our successful tradition. So, I love Hoffenheim because of that mindset since the team promotion to the Bundesliga in 2007. Well, of course, I could not represent the thoughts of all the fans, but the majority of our fans said so on different social medias. To be honest, it is not a matter of judging a new coach prematurely, but enough time has been given to Alfred. There was no system being constructed at all. Even though he also promoted first Baumgartner, then Bayer, then Bogart into the first team, he didn't fully utilize the talent in the right match and the right time. For example, Maximilian Bayer is a young, talented striker having good dribbling skills, awareness on the pitch. He was not a good finisher though at the moment, missing numerous scoring chances to seal the matches for Hoffenheim. Some may also argue that whether it is the right time to promote the young talents to use them so often after the match resumption in May, especially we are fighting hard for a European spot. On the other hand, what has he done for the youth team players? The loss of Chalalulu, Onana, Almansip, and Landwehr was a great signal. This should be another top priority of the new coach to come up with the solution for retaining the talent of our youth academy. You know, the under-19 squad last season was very exceptional. Players like Garlic, Walkwitz, and Stojakovic should be kept and promoted to the first team in the coming seasons. I also think that Alfred should go after the end of the season, but the departure timing is not good this time. I really think that Alfred should take the charge until the 27th of June. Changing the team few days just before the matches against RB Leipzig may not be a very wise decision. This should have been a good ending to him and the team if we qualify to Euro at the end of the season. Anyway, now we should first look forward to our assistant coach and other coaching team members, including the under-19 coach Rap, could do for the remaining 4 matches. First of all, we have to welcome back Julian Nagelsmann back to Pre-Zero since his departure last summer. Sadly, Alfred could not play against his partners again, but it should be an interesting homecoming matchup. And then how about the next coach? Some may say Nico Kovac. Some may suggest Tedesco and even Kofeld. Although Alexander Rosen already mentioned that the club will look into the new coach before the pre-season training session. I really think that it could be an opportunity for our youth coach to blossom next season if they perform well in the last 4 matches.